There is a boring but effective way that you can become a millionaire. It's not exciting, it's not get rich quick, but it is certain. I'm gonna break it down in today's video on how you can save and invest your way to becoming a millionaire. I'm Matt Sorensen. Let's build wealth. All right, now the method I'm gonna show you is available to everyone. Now, we wanna use a Roth IRA account, but you don't have to, okay? You could use a traditional IRA and get tax deductions. You could also use a brokerage account individually, but I want you to use a Roth IRA because as you're investing and growing this money, you're gonna pay no tax and it's gonna come tax-free on the way out. So I wanna make an assumption here at the beginning. Let's say you're 35 years old, you have $0 in an IRA, 401k, brokerage account, but you're like, I want to become a millionaire. All right, we can do it in 30 years. In 30 years, at only $500 a month, you will have $1 million by the time you hit 65 and you're ready to retire. Now, there's other ways we can accelerate this and get up to 2 million. I'm gonna break that down here in a second. It doesn't cost you that much more money, but let's be honest, you have to save. You have to set money aside and you have to start investing. You've got to get money working for you so that you're not always working for you. There's no secret to this. I know it's boring, but it is effective and it is near certain. Okay, so I'm gonna break down how this works, but I wanna make sure you have a number of things set up properly as you start investing. So I'm gonna hit 3 key things you're gonna need to do as you start setting money aside and starting to invest it in your Roth IRA. First thing I want to do is take what am I investing in off the table here. Too many people overthink this. They think they've got to make some home run investment, and so they invest in nothing. You just need base hits. You can invest in something boring like an index fund. There's 2 index funds you can invest in, $500 a month, and in 30 years, you'll be a millionaire. I mean, that's what the track history shows going back 30 years right now. Maybe the same history is going to repeat itself in the next 30 years. 2 funds that are index funds I want you to think about, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. There are ETF funds on these. These are index funds that have proven to get a 10% or greater, about 10.5, 10.9% rate of return over the last 30 years for the S&P 500 and 10.5% for the NASDAQ ETF, which is the whole NASDAQ market ETF over the last 20 years. Now that's important. I need to get a return on my money. You can't just put your money in a CD or in a bank account or in a money market fund making 4 or 5%. You're not gonna get to $1 million. You've gotta be getting an 8, 10 or greater rate of return to get to $1 million. Now you can make other investments. You can do stuff that gets a 15%, 20% rate of return. You can invest in private equity and real estate and other stuff with your IRA. We talk about that all the time here on my channel, but I want you to just think of something boring, approachable. You can put into a ticker symbol on your computer tomorrow. You don't have to go find a deal. That is what we're talking about here, and this is a way you can get started now and get on a pathway to becoming a millionaire. So that's point number 1, invest in an index fund that can get you a 10% greater return. Let me show you how that works. If you just look at the calculator here, and again, let's say you're 35, you want to retire at 65, have $1 million in your IRA. So we're starting at 0, you have nothing, you're gonna do this for 30 years, we're thinking you can get a 10% rate of return, talking about these index funds. You're gonna put in your money every month. Okay, this is important. I'm gonna come back to this here in a second. Something called dollar cost averaging and trying to beat market timing, just being consistent. We'll come back to that here in a second. But let's say you put in $500 a month. Okay, at the beginning of the month, you drop $500 into your Roth IRA. This is the result. In 30 years, your account will be worth $1,140,000. By putting in $500 a month, $6,000 a year, you can actually put in $7,000 a year into an IRA, but let's just say you're doing this $500 a month, you can see how the money grows over time. See the green here on this graph? That's your money working for you, not you working for you. But it takes time. At about 12 years in, your money's making more money for you than what you're actually putting in. And as you can see, that grows exponentially over time as your account balance grows. That is the power of investing, but you've got to start. I know a lot of people look at this and they see themselves at 0. And they never get started. Guys, everybody runs the first mile in a marathon. You can't be thinking about mile number 1. You've got to get past that. You've got to get off 0 here. Look to the future on where you're gonna get and how your money actually works for you and the power of it in years 20, 25, and 30 and how that grows for you. That is how you become a millionaire. Okay, now when you do this though, there's a couple of things you can screw up when you're setting up your account and making options on how you're gonna invest. Dollar cost averaging. There's a lot of studies on this, and generally what that means is you're putting money in over time. You're not trying to beat the market or time the market. Too many people are like, I'm just gonna wait for the market to go down and then I'll invest, right? Buy low, sell high. Yeah, but no one knows when it's really going down. How do I overcome that? Well, there's a lot of reports on this. Morningstar did an analysis and said people who simply buy and hold and who aren't trying to time the market of when they put their money in or when they actually make an investment, their portfolios outperformed by 10%. You have a greater and larger portfolio by not trying to beat the market. So one thing you should be doing is setting the money aside every month. Have it auto deduct from your paycheck, auto deduct from your bank account. Be ready for this. Think of this as an expense and a cost coming out of your account, but it's actually something building you wealth. It's just something we're doing for the long haul. We need to keep that money invested, let it grow. Now, the only caveat I would add to that is maybe you're like, Matt, I'm going to just drop $6,000, $7,000 in my IRA in January of every year. Once I make that money, I'm dropping it in as fast as possible instead of doing $500 a month. Fine, I would be good with that, because you're getting the money in earlier and getting more investment gains over time. But a good way to just budget for many people is have an automatic contribution come out of your paycheck or out of your bank account going directly into the IRA. All right, now the third thing you got to make sure you're doing when you're doing index fund investing, you're automatically contributing over time, is you need to make sure you have dividend reinvest set up on your account. What that means is when some of these stocks pay out a dividend to you in your account, it's not just sitting in cash in your account. You're saying, hey, brokerage account, when my money comes into my account, I want you to automatically reinvest it and go buy more of the ETF or stock or whatever my investment is. I don't want it to just sit in cash, but you have to turn that on. So make sure you have enabled dividend reinvest on your account. Here's a quick example on how this makes such a big deal over time. Charles Schwab did an analysis of someone who put $100,000 in 1990 into the S&P 500, and by 2022, that would have grown to $2.1 million, only if they enabled dividend reinvest. If they did not enable dividend reinvest, the account would have been $1.1 million. It is a $1 million mistake to miss this over time. So make sure you're enabling dividend reinvest on your account. That means as the money and the profits come back from the stocks, they're issuing dividends, you're immediately buying more investments, okay? This is your money working for you. All right, now I said earlier here, how do I get this up to $2 million? Let's say you have a 401k at work that doesn't match. Okay, many people have that. And let's say your match is dollar for dollar. Well, let's take this same example of me only putting in $500 a month. But if I have a good match at my employer, well, they'll match the other $500. I'm now getting $1,000 a month. This would be in your 401k, which could be a Roth 401k. So the money's growing and coming out tax-free. How does that look now? All right. It's still costing me only $500, but because I have a 401k match with my employer that's putting more money in, now I have an account of $2.2 million. This is over 30 years when you hit retirement. So it is very attainable to have these large retirement account balances so long as you commit to the monthly contributions, you look at it over a long horizon. I know it's boring, but guys, this is effective. It is near certain. The historical returns you can get on some of these index funds are obvious. They're right there in front of you. Make sure you're putting the money in over time. Make sure you have dividend reinvest enabled, and you can be on your way to becoming a millionaire. Now, my channel's got so many tips on how to build wealth. Growing your retirement account, saving on taxes, protecting your assets, starting and growing a small business that can be a side hustle. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel. I'm Matt Sorensen. We'll see you next time.